This is Tiger Cats postgame on the Ticats Audio Network.
Tiger Cats postgame, Bubba O'Neil, Mike Daly here in the booth, scratching our heads at a shocking loss for the Hamilton Tiger Cats, who dropped to 2-6. Argonauts, the rivals, down the QEW in the BMO Field, walking away with a 34-20 victory to improve to 4-3, and good for the Argonauts. That means a 2-game lead for first place in the CFL East Division. Mike, we did say at the very end of our comments at halftime that we've kind of seen a trend happening at the end of the second quarter, and we'd hoped that this trend of the Argos gaining confidence offensively was going to slow down in the second half, but it certainly did not happen.
No, it did not happen, and you know, other parts of the Argos team helped that confidence build as well, right? You start looking at the Ticats and you know, uncontrollable factors like Luke had said. The injuries only allowed the Ticats to go so far into their playbook. So you're not able to do the wild plays that we saw at the beginning of the first quarter, and as those injuries piled up, your playbook gets a little bit smaller, and I think the Argos defense pinned their ears back and was able to get a bunch of 2-and-outs in that second half, which really made the difference. And then finally, the backbreaker was that punt block at the beginning of the fourth quarter, right? To give up something like that, it is so hard to come back from a punt block touchdown. And, you know, when you look at the confidence that they were building into the half, and then finally with that punt block and the special teams being able to help them out, finalize that confidence, it was a tough finish. And, you know, it's frustrating to see. It's frustrating to have this happen again.
Well, here we are in the post-game show, and of course, as we always do, we will review Andy and Mike's Car Star 3 keys to victory. We will talk to Coach O, and this is not going to be a good feeling for him, obviously. We'll talk to a player. We have our performer of the game as presented by Hercules Tire, Ride Our Strength. And again, Luke Tasker and RJ Broadhead will join us in the booth to kind of break down exactly what they saw in this loss. And, you know, Mike, I think, again, we talk about the diversity of what we were seeing in that offensive attack and how it got changed in the second half due to injuries. But I also thought there was a little loss of execution as well, too. Yeah, absolutely. And that's another key factor to those injuries is that, you know, the experience and the reps that you get during the week at practice, they're not as intensive with some of those backup guys, right? And, you know, you see a guy like Keandre Smith come in, and he did a good job and did well, but there was a couple mistakes, a few offsides that hurt the Ticats early on in the second quarter, or in the second half, at the start of the second half there. And, you know, finally, too, the other thing that I really have to point out is that McLeod Bethel-Thompson and that offense got into a rhythm in that second quarter and were really able to put drives together to get themselves, you know, into scoring position. And that one where, you know, Mason Bennett ends up missing that sack and he throws that touchdown, that was the one where it's like, okay, this is where the momentum changed, and we really need to stop the bleeding here, per se. Let's bring in Luke and RJ from the booth. And guys, I think we've had this feeling in our gut before. And, you know, I think what surprises me a little bit, and I'm not going to say it surprises because it has to be frustrating, but it's the first time I think I've seen Dane Evans really lose it at the end of the game there on that third down and the missed 3rd down and 3 conversion. Luke, to me, that's a sign of frustration. Maybe it's the personnel, maybe the call didn't come in, but this does have to be frustrating.
Yeah.
The way they're losing these games.
Oh, very frustrating. And, you know, there's something about tonight's loss, Bubba, and you hate to see it in a negative light, but something about tonight's loss is a little bit different. It feels a little worrisome. You know, it's pretty negative. And I think the best way that I can put it, and the difference between this loss and some other ones, is that the Ticats have had a number of games this year where it's been like, wow, so many good plays, and you just couldn't finish here or there. So many good things, and it didn't happen. Well, tonight, the Argonauts won this game. I mean, they beat the Ticats, you know, and they overcame a 13-point deficit from the first quarter, and from then on, they controlled the game. From that second quarter on, they made enough plays. It's not just the Ticats let it slip away like, you know, played good enough, but just didn't get the win. It wasn't that way tonight. I mean, McLeod Bethel-Thompson played very well, and across all three phases, the Argonauts made enough plays to win this.
RJ, I think points left on the board, or certainly not on the board, was a big factor. It could have been 21-0 in the first quarter.
Yeah, absolutely. It was a great first quarter. The active Green and Ross first down sponsorship seemed like I was reading that after
11-1.
Yeah, it was fantastic. 3 straight scores to begin the game, and our statistician Greg Hood pointed out an interesting stat. It was 13-0 scored on the first 3 possessions, then it was 13-3, and then Dane Evans seemed to be rolling. Matthew Schultz came in for a drive, and then Dane wasn't quite as hot after that, and they were outscored 34-7 after that. Now, whether that has anything to do with it or not, no, I'm not the guy to second guess calls, but it is just odd how Dane was so hot and then seemed to cool off after that.
And the point stands, though. I mean, is it maybe time to let Dane just exist as the quarterback and let him run the offense? But you can't also deny that Matt Schultz had some, especially the wide receiver screen he caught.
That was great.
That was awesome.
Yeah.
So it's hard to say, but certainly there was, after that first quarter, RJ, there was just no rhythm to be found by the Ticats offense.
Braylon Addison out, Mike Jones out, and Mike Jones, and even I know it's his first game, but we're very familiar with him here in Tigertown. He has the ability to take the top off, stretch that defense with his speed, and then you lose Addison, who has really established himself as probably the most diverse wide receiver we've seen in this part for some time, Luke, and that's a tough loss.
Diverse as far as his skill set, and just, I mean, Mike, he was a teammate for both of our. I just can't speak highly enough about him and the value that he brings to the team. He's selfless. He's going to do whatever he's asked to do. Yes, running and passing, but he's one of the best blocking wide receivers as well. Just because he's so athletic and he has strength and toughness. I mean, it's going to be a tough one to replace. And he's a guy. He has been scoring touchdowns this year, but that's just because that's not the position he's found himself in. He's got, Stephen Dunbar Jr. has found himself in the end zone a number of times, but the offense has. He's the fire in the engine, meaning Braylon Addison, and it is going to be tough to recreate. The value that he brings. They're going to have to find that elsewhere, and it looks, we don't have the final word on that injury, but it didn't look great, and I'm not expecting, unfortunately, I don't have high hopes as to what we're going to find out this week.
No, certainly not. I mean, only because I've been through it, and I mean, from where the area that he was grabbing, that would suggest to me, because I ruptured my Achilles, and it kind of looked the same thing. And when you see that boot on immediately like that, whether it's a rip or a tear or a complete rupture, I mean, Mike, this is not good news.
No, and Luke was absolutely right. Is that as a football player, Braylon Addison can do so much. And, whether it's getting the ball, receiving the ball, whether it's taking the eyes of a defense away, he's able to make that offense creative and help Tommy be able to change that offense. Now, the one thing is maybe we need some more action from Tim White when Braylon's out, right? Because Tim, had a quiet, he's had a very good season up to this point, but he had a quiet game today. And there's a few times.
Back-to-back quiet games.
Yeah,
right.
2 receptions in the previous game, just 1 tonight. Is he not 100%? It seems odd that when they have the receiver injuries that they had tonight, that he wasn't more of a focal point.
Yeah, and I mean, you see him. There was a couple times in that game where he busts wide open, and I think it's just about seeing it. And it's tough to be able to read through the entire field and see somebody bust open, but there's a few times Tim White's getting open, and we got to get him the ball. But yeah, to see this kind of production over these last 2 games from Tim White, it's alarming, maybe is the word to use. But now with Braylon Addison, that's got to become a focal point again. Get Tim White involved, right?
I agree. Yeah. One of the things that I was disappointed with from the receiver group tonight is we saw a couple instances where that second down is thrown below the sticks, and you're relying on that yards after the catch and that creative way of finding that extra 3 to 5 yards to get them move the chains. That couldn't happen tonight. Guys getting tackled backwards, and obviously you can control what you can control. Sometimes as a receiver, you're not in a position to make that move, but Braylon Addison, is a guy that very often could find the ability to make that tough catch, then lower his shoulder pads to get under a tackler and sniff his way to that first down marker. He just had that incredible ability that is just so fun to watch, and so it gives you that assurance, and it just makes you feel so comfortable as a Ticat fan, and truly as a play caller, Tommy Condell, to say he'll find his way to snake through those last couple yards to get there. And unfortunately, that wasn't able to happen tonight at a few crucial moments in the second downs.
Hey, folks, we have exclusive access to the coaching room. Time to check in with Coach O, as presented by Access Storage. Coach, Bubba O'Neil here with you, the rest of the boys. A really tough one in terms of the way that went in the second half. And we're just discussing here the fact that you had so many injuries, especially at that wide receiver position. Did it kind of have to dial back what you did offensively, and that really kind of hurt the club in terms of second half performance?
Well, there's no doubt that affected our game plan. But at the end of the day, despite everything, it was 17-17, looking like who had the ball last may win. And we had the unfortunate couple crucial special teams plays flip the momentum there, and it's tough to overcome it.
Yeah, Coach, Mike Daly here. Listen, and a tough loss like that in the fourth quarter, and just kind of how it seemed with the team. What do you say to the guys to kind of get them ready for this next stretch or this next game that's coming up against the Argos?
Just it's not good enough. That was what I told them. And the defining moments, they made plays, and we didn't. And it's like I said, we had a couple of crucial, things that happened on special teams. And that's not to say that on defense we didn't have our opportunities when we had them pinned to get off the field. And offensively, we got to make hay down there and find a way to put it in the end zone. That's the type of game it was, regardless of what happened in the first half.
Coach, was tonight, it seemed like from the booth, just one of those games where the team sort of taking turns. At first, in that first quarter, it was taking turns making big plays, and then unfortunately as the game progressed, seemed like just, bad plays happening, just one team to the next, meaning offense, defense, and special teams. Is that the feeling that you guys get from your spot on the sidelines there?
No, I'm on to the next play. I don't feel, those momentum swings, field position, added with momentum usually equals points. And so, it's not about, the game, there's a game within the game, and you just have to play it. And unfortunately, sometimes it goes off script when big plays happen. And when you line up for an extra point, that's tough. And, it just, at the end of the day, it's not good enough. And, yeah, we're going to address everything hard, but we're going to tee it back up here inside a week. And that's got to be the focus after we take a deep dive into fine fixtures and details.
Hey, it's RJ here. It's been a topic. Just your thoughts on what's gone wrong in the fourth quarters.
Yeah, that's for the outside, to be honest with you. You know what I mean? Like, I get it. I get the tangible things, and those are facts and those are analytics. And you can best believe if it was just a cookie cutter thing and you could put your finger on it, we'd have already done it, right? Each game carries its own set of circumstances. And so it's not like there's no feeling on the sideline of we got to do this or we got to call this play. We got to make plays, period.
Coach, I will leave you with this, and hopefully this puts a smile on your face. Taya Steinauer, 8 points, 20 minutes. Team Ontario beats BC 84-74 to win the gold medal.
It did. That's a proud moment. That'll make me tear up. Thank you for sharing that, man. I really appreciate it, folks. That's awesome.
Right on. Have a great week of practice. We'll check you out during the week, Coach. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks, guys.
Coach O, a little emotional there, and I think we kind of have discussed this, guys, and I think we can kind of throw this around the table. When we sat there and watched this team in preseason, I don't think at any point could you have said after 8 games, RJ, that this team would be 2-6.
Yeah, I'm surprised by it. And you look at some of the games, their record should be better, but the record doesn't lie. It is what it is. So they've got to finish games. Maybe there is no answer to the fourth quarters, but it's been a topic for too long, and the numbers are really skewed in the opposition's favor. Turnovers, it seems, every time in the fourth quarter, there's been a lot of them, but they turn into points. And it's whether it's bad luck, it's mistakes, it keeps haunting the Tiger Cats, and they have to win a fourth quarter to win football games. It comes down to that. I don't know if any of us were comfortable with the fourth quarter coming up. In fact, I think you brought it up at the half, Luke, that we'll be talking about the fourth quarter when the fourth quarter rolls around, and unfortunately it became a story again tonight.
Yep, and that last, when the Ticats were still down by 7 points, and that last throw for a pick six from Dane, I think that was a little bit too early for such a risky throw still. I don't think it was really time to force that kind of pass in there, and I think Dane would take that one back and try to keep his eyes downfield a little bit longer. But one thing we can't ignore here tonight, this loss came with 7 injuries on the field for the Ticats.
Yeah.
And they're kind of heavy ones too. That you got guys out there not moving for an extended period of time. You're losing a player like Braylon Addison, which is just a crucial member of the locker room and the on-field performance. So this loss comes with some heaviness, and it's almost unfortunate that you're coming into a short week against the same opponent. The Ticats are going to have to be able to, increase that, get back that energy after losing a few key members of their team.
Tonight's performer of the game in terms of the Tiger Cats is the running back Don Jackson, 10 carries, 47 yards, and caught the ball well as second leading receiver for the team, 8 receptions, 9 balls thrown at him, 67 yards and a touchdown. He is our Hercules Tire performer of the game, right on our strength. Let's go back to the locker room and talk to our performer of the game. Don Jackson joins us as we have exclusive post-game coverage and an interview as presented by Access Storage. Don, congratulations for your accomplishments today, but I'm sure you would have traded it in for the victory.
Easily. I appreciate that. It's all credit to the guys up front, though. Those guys, they work their tail off, a day by day, every day through the week, and we were happy to put that up, but we just want to finish. We want to finish.
Hey, Don, Mike Daly here. Great game. Love seeing you, kind of being used all over the field. Listen, what's up, man? What do you end up doing, looking inside first and then out, personally and then team-wise, just to kind of talk to the guys, talk to yourself, and what do you do a little bit extra to, make sure that next week maybe doesn't happen like this?
It just starts with being honest. We got to make sure that when we go to the film, starting with me, I'm gonna go to the film and be honest about it and see where we can make changes. And because there's definitely plays out there where I could have been better. Everybody could probably say there was a play that they could be better. It starts with that. We got to be completely honest with each other, kind of put our feelings to the side, and find a way to get better. And that involves us having tough conversations and just demanding excellence from the guys around us.
Hey, Don, Luke Tasker here, and great game. I mean, your first quarter was really, really impressive, and great to see you catching a touchdown in the end zone there. And can you talk us through that route and kind of what went right on that play?
Well, I had a burst call on that, and after I didn't see anybody in protection, to be honest, like I kind of was sitting the burst where I wasn't supposed to, and Dane kind of gave me eyes, and I just kind of broke in, and he was able to make a great play. I had no idea he was going to be able to get it to me, but he did. Threw a laser in there. It was kind of easy. Yeah,
he did a great job of turning his eyes back to find you. It looked great, but nice catch, man.
Hell yeah, appreciate you, man.
Hey, Don, it's RJ here.
What's up, RJ?
Hey, always good to chat to you. Love your honesty. I know this is a tough loss for you guys, but how much did the injuries on offense, how much did you guys have to make adjustments?
We had to make a whole bunch of adjustments. When you lose somebody like Braylon, that kind of just shakes the entire team, not even just the offense. It shakes the entire team. And then, with Earls getting hurt and just left and right, we had guys going down. It makes you want to play just that much harder, for the guys that went down. I hate that we couldn't pull it together and make it happen for him. But yeah, man, it hurts. It simply hurts us, and we gotta find a way to get back in the room together, and heal from that, and find a way to play in their honor, the guys that are down.
Don, one last thing. You had some real
Yes,
nice.
sir.
You had some real nice moves after that touchdown. What was that all about? Was that the Michael Jackson or?
I was just trying to have fun. I was trying to have fun in the end zone. It took a while, man. So I was just happy to get up in there.
Well, enjoy yourself in practice this week. Heal up, and let's get back at them at Tim Hortons Field on a Friday night. Don Jackson, thanks for joining us.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate you guys.
Thanks, Don.
Our performer of the game, presented by Hercules Tire. Ride on our strength. Again, you're really hearing it from the player, the coach. Again, this one hurts a little bit more, it seems, than the rest of them there. And I know a loss is a loss at the end of the day. A win is a win in the win column. But Mike, I think this is kind of grinding on this team because it really is, unfortunately, a very familiar script.
Yeah, and especially because it goes back to what we talked about pregame, that in every single interview is the rivalry with Toronto, right? Right down the road, these games, everybody knows leading up to these games really matter, right? Not that the other ones don't, but these ones matter a little bit more. And to go in there and, lose that way, right? With a punt block touchdown, you know what I mean? With a couple dropped interceptions that I think could have really turned the game around, right? Luke, you talked about, the DBs maybe not sticking to their coverage as much, but when they get those opportunities to catch the ball, right, we had 3 dropped interceptions. That's huge to, number one, kill the confidence of an offense, and number 2, get some field position back for the Ticats offense.
100%. You're absolutely right because, yeah, they were able to dink it around Bethel Thompson in the end there and take a lot of those low throws, but you're so right. There were some big play misses earlier in the game as well. Mike, to you, the Ticats, for some reason, have really struggled in their drive start and in the return games for the last 2 weeks. Really not able to get anything explosive going in the return game. And for you, a guy who had such an impact in those ways, what do they got to do to get that going again? Because they're at moments when in weeks past and in the games, you think back to last year, some explosive returns were able to spark games where they were needing rhythm, where they needed something to happen. And a lot of times it can come from the special teams, but right now they're not totally getting that. Yeah,
and I mean, number one, let's look at, the net punt differential, right? Yeah. We're talking 10 yards difference, right?
Yeah.
I think the Argos were 42, Hamilton was 31 net punt. So that's a first down right there.
A first down, exactly.
Right? And that is huge yardage to be giving up every single punt, right? So what the special teams, too, that we don't talk about is a couple of those injuries, right? Curtis Newton got hurt last week, right? He is the special teams leader out there. Barely Feltmate goes down this game, right? Anthony Federico goes down. Sean Thomas Erlington goes down. All guys that...
Nick Cross has already been down.
Nick Cross has already been... Like, we're talking injuries offensively and defensively, right? Yeah. But special teams, when you're throwing new guys in there, it's the exact same story. Execution, understanding, how to open up lanes for Lawrence Wood. I think Lawrence Woods is running really well. He should probably protect that ball a little bit more, but he's running really well and getting downhill. But he needs some guys out there that can execute and really change the game for them on special teams. Right?
To that point, his best return tonight, he stayed within a 3-yard tunnel from right to left. I mean, he just burst downfield and dipped a shoulder here and there to miss a
dodge.
The 5 Ds of dodgeball. He used every one of them and got what was the best and kind of the only meaningful return of the night. But more of that, boy, they've got to find a way. And of course, you can't ignore the blocked punt. I mean, that was it. That was the changing moment of the game.
Mike, let's review your 3 CarStar keys to victory because I know Andy's listening.
Yeah, I hope he is listening. I hope he worked well and got Drake over on the Ticat side for the next game. But number one, we had discipline, right? There was a couple offsetting 15-yard penalties. If the Ticats can reel some of those back and let the Argos take those 15-yard penalties without getting the offsetting penalty, that's 30 yards in field position just in this game alone. So, I think they can work on that, but offsetting for that, so I think it's a wash.
In the weeks to come, that should probably remain one of the keys to victory, because those 15-yarders, the energy and the anger is going to boil over in the coming game. So let it not be the Ticats, to take those fouls.
Argonauts had an ejection today.
Good point.
Right.
Good
Number
point.
Number 2, red zone efficiency, right? This is really what spreads the game out. This is what gives those Ticats the lead at the beginning of the first quarter and makes it almost impossible. They had 5 opportunities in the red zone, right? One of those was a touchdown. 4 of them were field goals. When we're looking for, Luke, after every loss, right, you're always looking for how many points you need. So where could we have found those 7 points before, the pick 6? And right there, one of those red zone opportunities, you could find 7 points, right?
Yeah,
and
100%.
So that's, number 2, I think we still have to do a little bit better as the Ticats. They have to get that ball in the end zone. You heard Coach O say it too. You got to score touchdowns while we're down there, because that's what blows the games open.
Number 3
is the turnover differential, right? The turnover ratio, we always talk about this, right? This is the key. So you had the interception at the end of the game, right? And then the block punt for a touchdown. All right, so the Ticats end up going -2 in that situation. But I'm going to bring it back to the DBs, being a DB myself. When Richard Leonard, Ciante Evans, and Jamal Roll get that ball in their hands, I know right now they're all sitting in that locker room saying, we could have turned this game around.
Yep.
They catch those easy ones, right? The ones that come to you, that's all you got to do is catch the ones that come to you. And then they lead in that turnover ratio differential, and that may be the change of the game.
And both of those plays that you mentioned, the block punt and the interception, are fourth quarter mishaps, and that's just, I don't know why. RJ, I don't have the answer to that question that you and I have been asking all season. I don't know why the play looks so different there, but certainly you got to have. This sounds a little fluffy. This sounds non-scientific, but Mike, you and I can both attest to there is a mental energy and an attitude that you got to have to go out there and win the game, as opposed to going out there to not make a mistake. Because boy, when I'm out there playing wide receiver, trying to not make a mistake, you can bet that's when I've dropped passes in my career.
Can I just throw in it? That's what the Winnipeg Blue Bombers are doing right now?
Yes, it is.
No matter what happens, no matter how poorly they play, somehow, some way, they're pulling these games out.
Yep, and I can say from experience, Zach Collaros is a guy that is out there to win. He's playing a chess game, and he's excited about checkmate. He's out there to win, and it's not like they have a crazy, beautifully statistic, thing going on where they're just head and shoulders above everybody. They're in the mix at the top of the league with everything, but they're flawless, in the score column.
And it's it's the finding a way,
yeah,
whatever that way may be. And Coach O said he when we asked him about the fourth quarter, he says, well, every game's a little bit different. Well, that's because every game, it's whatever that game's story is. That's how you have to find a way, right? So
it's a good point.
In that second, what's the find a way in this game? Well, it's that block punt for a touchdown, right? And I think it's catching those interceptions. And I think that's the way you have to find it this game. Next game, it could be different. The other losses, it was different. But that's, what separates the good teams from the great teams.
Making that sack on McLeod Bethel-Thompson down in their scoring territory, that would have held them to a field goal, right? So, it's all those little things combined. You're absolutely right.
Well, guys, the energy may change Friday night here at Tim Hortons Field. Home crowd backing the Hamilton Tiger Cats against the Argonauts. Folks, you got to be here. It's going to be something else. 4 meetings in 5 weeks, and the Argonauts take the first game 34-20 over the Tiger Cats. They are 2-6, and again, this team, the Argonauts, a 2-game lead as they improve to 4-3. 34-20, the final score. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much to the many hands that put this broadcast together. For Mike Daly, RJ, Luke, I'm Bubba O'Neil. We'll be back this coming Friday night, ad says. It is the Argonauts traveling, and they're coming to Tim Hortons Field. On the air at 6:30 on the Tiger Cats pregame, as presented by Journey Rewards on the Ticats Audio Network.